Do you have a vacation fund? Do you save for vacations regularly throughout the year? When I decided years ago to prioritize travel, one of the most empowering steps I took was to establish a dedicated vacation fund or travel fund. I like to use those two terms interchangeably, but a vacation fund is simply a special bank account solely dedicated to your travel savings. In episode 2, I explained what a travel fund is and why you need one. I encourage you to listen to that episode because we're building off from there in this brand new 3-part vacation fund series. This series is made possible with the support of Thrifty Traveler, a returning sponsor of the podcast who you'll hear more about in a little bit. So today we're going to be talking about vacation fund do's and don'ts, but please make sure you're following the Thought Card podcast because we're also going to cover creative ways to fund vacations without a side hustle and also financial reasons to travel now. You don't want to miss these episodes. And to get notified when I drop brand new content here on the podcast, you have to follow the show. It's totally free and takes a few seconds. Welcome to the Thought Card, a podcast about travel and money, where planning, saving, and creativity leads to affording travel, building wealth, and paying off debt. We are the financially savvy travelers. Alrighty, so let's chat about vacation fund dues. Number 1, the whole point of having a vacation fund is to keep it separate. So when you are thinking about your travel fund savings, your travel savings, do keep it separate. Open up a separate account just for travel. And if you prefer the envelope method where every line item in your budget has a different physical envelope, have an envelope dedicated to travel. I love the fact that I can look at my travel fund savings online at my online bank, and I know exactly how much money is in that account. I can make informed decisions to, sure, let's go book that trip, or I don't quite have that enough money, so we're going to have to hold off on that. It's very empowering to be able to see at a moment's notice how much you have. And something I always say is like, if my travel fund, my travel savings, and my mortgage were in the same account, I'd be struggling with one of them. Either I'll be jet setting off, thinking I'm all good, or I would solely be so focused on my mortgage that I would not even consider traveling anymore. So I think that keeping your travel savings separate is so fantastic for just the ability to see your savings grow and also to make decisions very quickly. So 1, keep it separate. High yield savings account. So do have your travel savings in a high yield savings account because you're going to be able to earn more money from your savings. So your money is making you more money. Online banks like Ali Bank, which is my favorite, I've been using them for many years, are now offering 4.2% interest on their savings account. And you're not doing anything for this extra savings. So do put your savings into a high yield savings account so you could earn more from your savings. Automate your savings per month or per pay period. This is an absolute do for me. When I was working a 9-to-5 job, I already knew myself. Like I knew that I prefer to automate so that I don't get tripped up when I get busy or I'm distracted or maybe I don't want to look at my money right now. I didn't have to worry about things getting done for me because it was happening in the background. Automation is so critical and so key, and it just makes saving feel more effortless and seamless. So do automate your savings per month or per pay period. Now, when I had a 9-to-5 job, I really loved the per pay period process that I set up for myself because as soon as I got paid, a portion of my check would go directly to my travel fund, my vacation fund, without me even doing anything. I set it up once and over time, maybe every year, I'd bump it up a little bit, bump it up a little bit, but it was automated. I never had to think about doing or taking the action. And now, as an entrepreneur, and I don't have that steady paycheck, I do a per month basis. So per month, there's this automation that goes up. Again, I'm not thinking about having to save for travel. It is built in and happening for me. So definitely a vacation fund due is to automate your savings. And here's like a next level hack. So what I used to do is I would not only have my direct deposit automation going from my paycheck to my travel fund, but then I would also have a secondary automation saving a little more every month to my travel fund. So I had like two automations happening at the same time, one from my employer, another one from my checking to my savings account. And that again was helping me build my vacation fund a lot faster. Another do is to make sure that you're using this specific account to make decisions about going on vacation. So when you have your vacation fund, you're building up that habit, that consistency. And the goal of having this account separate is not only to save for travel expenses, but also to be able to go on those vacations. And to make those decisions that you're ready to go on those vacations, you're looking at this specific account. So discipline to set it up, but also discipline to use this account for your vacations. And ideally, you're not dipping into other accounts that you may have, right? So when I'm going on vacation, I'm not looking at my vacation fund with a backstop of my emergency fund or with a backstop of my mortgage account. No, I am having the discipline to say, this is my vacation fund and this is where I'm putting money in for travel, taking money out for travel, and that's all that I have for travel. I did the work to set this account up. I did the work to save, but I am not going to dip into other accounts because I overspent or because I did not budget correctly. So I think a do for vacation funds is to have these strict boundaries with ourselves, where we're saying that this is the only account I'm using for travel. So I need to make sure that everything I'm spending for travel is all baked in. Saving money for airfare is one of my favorite ways to reduce travel expenses. Since 2018, I've relied on Thrifty Traveler Premium to find cheap flights at unbeatable prices. This week, in fact, I received alerts for flight deals to Costa Rica for under $395 and nonstop round trip flights to Europe from 34,000 points. My family and I booked our upcoming vacation to Germany by taking advantage of this points alert, saving over $1,000 on airfare and 60,000 points combined. But what you might not know is that Thrifty Traveler Premium offers additional perks beyond flight deal alerts. One of these perks is credit card consulting, which is great if you're new to points and miles or looking to maximize your portfolio. I'll share my credit card consultation experience very soon, so follow the podcast if you're not already. Join tens of thousands of travelers who love Thrifty Traveler Premium by becoming a subscriber today. Visit thoughtcard.com/thrifty. Again, that's thoughtcard.com/thrifty and use the special promo code TC10 to save $10 on your first year of Thrifty Traveler Premium. Again, that's the promo code TC10 to save $10 on your first year of Thrifty Traveler Premium. The link will also be in the episode description. All right, another vacation fund do is that I recommend giving your vacation fund a name. So this is not account 175555210. No, this account is annual Disney vacation trip or annual family Disney vacation or honeymoon with Bae in Costa Rica. Or like for me, my account was called Berlin Vacay with Babe. That was my fun name. If you can customize the name, a lot of These bank accounts now, when you go online, you can give your account a fun name. And I like to do this because it's personalized and it makes it real. Like I know every time I log into that account, we are going to Germany and all this money that we're saving is going to be going to a phenomenal Germany vacation. And it just gets me jazzed up about what's to come. Another vacation fund do is to start small and gradually increase. For some reason, we always feel like saving has to be like just this long drudgery process of like, it has to feel painful. It has to hurt. It has to feel tiresome and cumbersome and take all of the energy and fun out of our lives. And I'm not about that. Like, I'm not about that. Instead, I rather start small and save money that I actually can afford to miss. I'm not going to miss this money. That's my favorite savings, where it's effortless, where it doesn't feel like I'm putting in a lot of effort. That to me is savings goals. Like that's how I want to feel. And that is honestly how I feel. When I started saving and having my first job in corporate, I knew that I wanted to save for travel. So all that I could afford to save was $25 per pay period. And I could have looked at $25 and say, oh my gosh, that's so small. Like, I'm never going to go to Paris, never going to do anything off that. But listen, within 2 years, I was able to go on my first trip to Paris, and that literally changed my entire life. And I started small and I gradually increased from $25 up and up and up and up and up to now where I'm saving hundreds of dollars per month on travel. So, travel savings does not have to feel like a burden or a huge sacrifice if we are regularly doing it and we're starting small. Okay, so start small and gradually increase. So let's do a vacation fund dues recap real quick. So we want to keep our vacation fund separate. We want to choose a high yield savings account where we're earning a considerable amount of interest on our savings. We want to automate whenever possible, whether you decide to do direct deposit or you have an automation where you're saving from your checking to your savings. Automation is your best friend. Use this account to make decisions about when to go on vacation. This is the dedicated account, so use that as your decision factor. Give your vacation fund a fun name that you're going to be jazzed and excited about every time you log in and look at that account, and start small. Saving doesn't have to be this like huge, like just long drawn out process. It can be seamless. And if you start small and you save what you can afford to miss, even if it's very little, you will definitely build that savings habit and travel a lot more. Hey, financially savvy travelers. I hope you're enjoying this episode. Money impacts nearly everything we do, including our ability to travel. If your finances stand in the way of your travel dreams, I encourage you to grab a copy of my book, Affording Travel Saving Strategies for Financially Savvy Travelers, where I break down step by step how to seamlessly incorporate saving money for travel into your budget. This step by step process has afforded me the ability to travel to over 27 countries, the majority of them since 2015. All right. Like all of my books, Affording Travel is a quick read that gives you actionable steps that can be applied immediately. Even a seasoned traveler or a good money manager will learn a thing or two. Follow my steps, and I know you'll soon be able to add more trips to your life without going into debt. Grab a copy of Affording Travel on Amazon or anywhere books are sold. The link will also be in the episode description. Now, let's talk about the vacation fund don'ts. Now, this list, although it's shorter than the do's, I think these are critical. And oftentimes we miss these times. We miss these. So, the one don't that I feel like is so important is to keep your ATM card at home. Unless you're traveling, of course, and that makes sense. But in your day-to-day life, do not have your vacation fund debit card out. Because for me, I know I've done this in the past where I'd be like, oh, I need some cash. Let me just go to the ATM and use that card and I'll pay myself back. that is not honoring your discipline. It's not honoring your habits, and it's definitely not going to help you to go on your next vacation when you're doing that. So, to even eliminate that temptation of being able to just swipe your debit card when you are out and about or go to the ATM real quick, just don't even have it. Like, I have debit cards that are in my desk drawer, and I also have plenty of credit cards that I don't use on a daily basis that are in my drawer as well. And this out of sight, out of mind is so helpful. We have this vacation fund to help us to travel, and we are trying to do as many things to honor that, right? Honor the ability to travel and don't do any of the things that's gonna make you slip up or make you trip up. And for me, the ATM card, the debit card was a definite trip up. And I made excuses for myself. And I realized, you know what? Let's just leave it home. So keep your ATM card at home. Don't bring it with you unless you are traveling. Another thing that I think is important, similarly to keeping these boundaries and barriers for ourselves, is don't dip into your travel fund for non travel expenses, including emergencies. You're driving on the freeway, all of a sudden you have a flat tire. You may be thinking, like, oh, shoot, I don't really have that much of a buffer for emergencies, but I do have some money in my travel fund. So I'm going to go in there and dip into it. And that is a no no. Like, again, we're honoring our desire to travel, and we are separating this account and we're committing to not using this account for non travel expenses. This is why having an emergency fund is critical, and having a stash of money for when things unexpectedly happen is critical. This is why having maybe an account just for like fun things that you're doing and dining out, or having separate money in your budget for that, is important so that you can keep these boundaries to yourself. I found, again, that it's so easy to make excuses and to promise yourself, like, I'm going to pay myself back. But sometimes things happen in life where you're unable to pay yourself back in a timely manner. And guess what suffers? Your ability to book that next vacation, to book that next trip. So, a big takeaway when we're thinking about our vacation fund is these boundaries that we're setting for ourselves, right? And these boundaries, sure, they may feel restrictive, but ultimately they're going to help us to travel more, which is the ultimate goal. Another important don't when you are traveling and you're on the road is sticking to your travel budget, not only because, we have a set amount of money that we want to spend, but the impact of that is if you're going over budget, you're likely going to be getting these pricey overdraft fees. Like, overdraft fees are so expensive right now, like $30 per overdraft. Like, that is dipping into the savings you set aside for your goals. And it is completely avoidable, in my opinion, if we're sticking to our travel budget. So, we are going to definitely have an episode all on how to create a travel budget and how to stick to it. But just as a primer, it's like our travel budget is our plan. This is how much we are planning to spend when we are traveling and on vacation. And I feel like it's so important as we're traveling to keep an eye on that. Like, even if you're doing, using your credit card to do the points and miles thing when you're out on the road, it is still important to take a look at your savings account to be like, okay, I spent X amount of money today. Am I on track? Am I overspending? Do I have to make adjustments for tomorrow? So, this is active. Like, when we are traveling, it's actively looking at, okay, what are we spending? And also, how much is left in our travel fund that we had planned out for. And the benefit of this is that we are going to be able to avoid these pricey overdraft fees that's literally eating into our money. There's two things that eat into our wealth. There are these overdraft fees, number one, these account maintenance fees for banks, and also credit card interest, right? These are the things that eat into the savings we have, eat into the goals that we have. And honestly, I feel like it's avoidable when we have a good mindset and we also have these built-in boundaries we set up for ourselves. All right. That is all that I have for today. Just to recap the don'ts: don't dip into your travel fund for non-travel expenses. Don't bring your ATM card with you when you are out and about on day-to-day activities. Do bring it, of course, when you're traveling, and do stick to your budget so that you don't have to incur these pricey overdraft fees. That is all that I have for you today. I will see you all in the next episode where we're going to be talking about creative ways to fund vacations without a side hustle. I'll see you then.